The Wildwoods are officially back. That's right, everyone. After what seemed to be a crazy past 3 days, according to Atlantic City Electric, we finally have 99% power on the island. So let's go ahead and talk about what's going on from now forward. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe, you turn on notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. A special thank you out to my patrons on patreon.com. It's because of them we can make videos like this. If you want to support this channel and have your name at the end of the video, all you have to do is click the links in the description below. And please do make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, as we're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by Labor Day Monday. So as you know, 2 days ago, we unfortunately had that fire at the substation. And because of that, there was a massive snowball which caused a complete blackout on the entire island. We're talking from Anglesey all the way down to Diamond Beach. And as you know, Atlantic City Electric kind of jumped into action to try to figure this out, but because the building was on fire, the Wildwood Fire Department first did a first alarm, then it became a second alarm, and eventually once it was out, there was so much damage to the substation that they had to completely shut it down. It was because of that which caused the entire island to go dark. Now, as you know, as power started coming back online, there were certain sections that got their power first, including Wildwood Crest. It's kind of weird that the way that it is, they actually didn't go in much detail about how the fire was, but just looking on how they were working on that substation, certain wires that went to certain towns were more damaged, say, than others. So like, if you look in the building, one side of it didn't have much damage. That was the Wildwood Crest side. And essentially because that one didn't have much damage, they had to shut it off completely, once again, because they had to put water and all that stuff, and then they had to inspect all the cables. From that time on till today, there was a lot of work taking place all over the Wildwoods. As you know, the city brought in 4 massive CAT generating stations. Essentially, they're just massive trailers that have generators inside. A few of them were spread out throughout the Wildwoods. Right now, actually, believe it or not, a lot of those generators are pumping electricity into the grid, because while the power is still on, that does not mean the problem has been fixed. As you know, last night, we had a couple explosions on the island, one by the North Wildwood Bay and one in the middle of Wildwood in front of Bolero, and so those have to be repaired. So these other generating stations are going to stay online, especially until the substation is 100%, which will take some time because they have to put in a lot new equipment. As you know, they kind of drove in all those massive transformers. They had to be installed. They had to rerun new cables because a lot of it was charred. It's a big mess, but luckily, AC Electric is getting it under control. When it comes to things open on the island, as of right now, everything does have power, but it doesn't mean that it's open. Some places, such as restaurants, they didn't have power for about 40 hours. So it is possible that maybe their food went bad and maybe they're waiting for a delivery, something that can get them through this upcoming week. Because as you know, it is summer and this is the only time of year that these businesses are open, which I have to say this, truly have to say this, you have to support our small businesses. As you know, this is something that no one could control, and every restaurant and every single business was suffering down here. So, you know, they may be closed now, but as soon as they open, please go out to them, please support them, because once again, they're only open a few months out of the year, and they were closed for some of the busiest because it was 4th of July week. As of right now, Maury's Piers and everything on the boardwalk is opening as planned. Originally, we didn't know if Maury's Piers was going to open at all, but this morning around 6:30, they put up an announcement stating that Ocean Oasis was opening at 9, with Raging Waters opening up at 11:30, and then from there they said go back for updates, and as far as we know, the rides are operating and people are on the boardwalk. When it comes to street lights and things like that, they're all operating once again, so you're no longer going to see police directing traffic. When it comes to the cooling centers, it looks like at this time they're starting to close now that power has been restored to most of the island, but if there is something you need, we still suggest you go to those centers because they do have power, you can still plug things in, and of course, it's definitely cooler in there. Now, I just want to make a couple personal messages for you. First of all, we had a lot of heroes during this blackout. We not only, of course, had our first responders, whether it's police, EMTs, fire departments doing such an amazing job, but we also had a lot of people, just random, ordinary people, become heroes. People that welcome people into their houses, allow them to cool down, charge their electronics, people that went over and tried to get generators, people who donated their own generators to people, and we had other people that stayed up throughout the night to help keep these generators online. And on top of all that, we also had the linesmen who don't work for Atlantic City Electric, but were subcontracted to come down and lay new wires and get things under control. This was a disaster. Bottom line was, it was a disaster, and is something that, of course, we're going to have some kind of big meeting to make sure this never happens again. But in this, there was a lot of good, a lot of great-hearted people that came together to help each other out. We haven't seen such a disaster down here since Hurricane Sandy. And even then, because I remember how we had to evacuate and how, I was working at Maurice Piers at the time, and we had to shut down the rides and pretty much get everything off the piers. And that point was the last time we actually had this kind of closeness. And so to see everyone come together and everyone help each other, it was honestly beautiful. It was beyond beautiful. Now, when it comes to preventing this in the future, Atlantic City Electric and the county, no one has actually came out. That's actually one thing we definitely need to do better on, is communication. I felt like during this whole thing, the only people who were communicating were social media folks like me. And I think that moving forward, we definitely have to have some kind of transparency of, hey, this is what's going on, this is what you need, this is where we're at. I know that was definitely lacking during this, but I think that moving forward, we need to talk to our local leaders and say, hey, you guys got to be talking to us, keep us communicating. That way, everyone has a good understanding of what's happening, what time things are going back on, and what we could do in the future to prevent this. Obviously, those generators took a while to get down here, and of course, they're not on standby, but maybe we need to have one of those generators somewhere on the island. God forbid a hurricane comes and we lose power again. But I really want to say thank you guys for tuning to the YouTube channel Wildwood Video Archive or the Wildwood Boardwalk, or watching all my posts. I've been trying to update you guys a million times doing this. There was just a lot of information coming in. Sometimes it would be a couple hours until we get some information, and I appreciate you guys coming to me to get all of your news source, and I really appreciate you guys. Now, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. We are trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by Labor Day, and we can only do that with your help. Anyway, I'm Joey. As always, I'll see you on the beach, which is technically that way and then that way, but we're not going right now. We're expecting a little bit of rain. So anyway, stay safe. I'll see you later. Bye.